Good morning, Mike Kearns here with the Kearns Power Group, and welcome to our first of a series of interviews we're going to be doing with some industry leaders over the next few weeks to get some insight on how we can navigate our businesses through this challenging time. We have a very special interview for our first interview today. Jeff Thibodeau, great friend and longtime mentor of mine. Jeff operates a brokerage and is the founder and owner of Redline, which is based out of Brantford. Now the biggest independent brokerage in that region with 45 agents and over 600 transactions in 2019. Jeff is one of the most dynamic and innovative guys in all of real estate, and I've looked to him for many years, and he's played an integral part in my personal business development. So, talk a little bit about what we're going to cover today. We're going to learn some ideas and activities that we can execute on now to ensure that our businesses can hit the ground running once this all passes, or at least starts to get back to semi-normal. We're going to talk a little bit about messaging to our clients and our database to ensure that we're being sensitive to what's going on in the world right now, because everybody's got a different perspective on things and a different fear level. We're going to share some best practices around time management, so how we can still be effective when we're working from home. We've got challenges like kids at home and all those other things that we're having to deal with right now. And we want to talk about ways that we can use this downtime to make sure we get our financial houses in order. So, if this does stretch out over a little bit longer time than anticipated, we're financially ready to weather that storm. So without further ado, I want to welcome Jeff, and welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me, Mike. It's so good to see you over Zoom.
So how are you and your family holding up right now?
We're doing okay. We've always had we're all homebodies anyways. And I was joking. I think we were just on a training vacation. We were away, just the four of us, over Christmas for 14 days in hotel rooms and no other family. So we were we already did a test quarantine. So yeah, we went into isolation on March 12th, believe it or not, because I was ahead of the news cycle. So I just added that up. We're on day 34 of being at home with the kids. Yeah.
Okay. So you're exclusively working from home now. This is your home office that we see in there.
We closed our physical offices just because I serve so many realtors. I actually was worried about the safety of our admin, because I know a lot of realtors are going to still come in and going from the office. So yeah, that same day on March 12th, we kicked everyone out of our offices too. So our admins have been gone or working from home for 34 days too, which is pretty cool to see how quickly everyone's adapted.
Yeah, no, it is pretty cool. It's I think it's really going to change the landscape overall, honestly. So
no doubt.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit what's happening in your market? I assume it's kind of mirroring what we're facing here. We had a couple weeks where, stuff was still continuing to happen, and now kind of ground to a halt there.
Yeah, I ran some real numbers actually just yesterday, because I do three times a week. I do an address to my brokerage to keep them in the loop. So it's hard to watch the numbers, because we're tracking them, how things were going in March, and then has it dropped off or increased. But what I did is I went back and looked at the exact same weeks last year, and I'm trying to track the 2 years against each other. And so here in Brantford, we're down about 56% on new pending deals being put in the pipeline, and about 55% on new listings, which is actually not as bad as I thought it was. It feels worse than that. If you had told me that half of the transactions that were supposed to happen in this week of April are still happening, my gut wouldn't have said that. So it's actually fairly positive news. And I've been trying to coach my team around to thinking of it that way, that, the glass half full versus half empty. We can look at the 50% of the deals that aren't there, but we can still look at those 50% of the deals. Like I said, just Brantford alone, detached houses, 34 realtors got paychecks last week.
Yeah.
So somebody's making money.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we talked about it a little bit earlier today. It's just, with that news coming out yesterday, how people are going to react to the fact that we're locked down for another 30 days, at least, whether or not that's, some of the people that were sitting on the sidelines might decide, what, we don't know when we're going to be able to fully come back, so we might as well go to market now or something along that effect, right?
I mean, 100%. I think I've been speaking to so many, like most of my team, I've had some form of one-on-one strategy call versus all these daily, like trying to think through the moves we're making. And the one most important point I think everyone needs to take in this, whether you're in real estate or not, is that it's a 100% personal crisis for everybody. So there's no way to like wash an average and say, oh, things are good now, they're bad now, the market's going to improve now, it's going to get worse. Literally every human's got their own psychology around how fearful they are, when that cycle started, how long they're willing to be on pause. So this is kind of the first time in a long time where we've had this, the market's unique for every human in it. It's not like it's a buyer's market or seller's market. You can have one seller, and you probably have this in your own listing portfolio right now, that's totally not desperate. They're just going to hang on to their price and ride this thing out, and they maybe leave it on the market. You might have the person that went, screw this, I'm not moving, I'm hunkering down. And then you also have a seller that went, crap, I'm about to get pinched, I got to sell at a discount. And all those things are happening. So the biggest thing to do is not try to get one story or one average, is to really just look at every situation as unique while we're in the middle of this thing.
Yeah. Well, that's so true. I mean, even talking to everyone on our team, everybody's got kind of a different perspective on things. So that's some great insight. So can you walk us through what does a typical day look like for Jeff Thibodeau right now? So, I know it's every day is a little bit like Groundhog Day, it feels, but what are you doing to keep yourself focused?
I wasn't in a typical realtor workflow before this. I'm running a brokerage. I have very few client interactions. I'm more, managing my team. So my days used to be extremely booked. Like the whole week was meetings, coaching calls, recurring trainings, meetings with investment partners. And it was just, I was really used to having a fully structured thing. And, we used to work together. It's one of the things I coach on is these time blocking. I'll tell you that first few weeks when the calendar went to vapor, I should have got a lot more efficient, you'd think, right? But actually what happened is I spent all this time just doing nothing. Like I'd have the news running on the laptop. I'd be worrying, thinking, strategizing, not accomplishing anything, and not spending any time with my family who's just on the other side of that door. So after the first 2 weeks, I made a really conscious decision to change my own workflow and not be a victim of this change being happened to me. So I just went back to basics and I stripped everything out. And so I still get up at 6 because I'm an early riser anyways. It's not like an alarm thing. My eyes just open. So it's not like whatever time that is for you. But I'm trying to have the first couple hours of the morning just totally to myself, embrace that extra little bit of peacefulness in the morning. But what that's allowing me to do is get the little bit of extra time to know what is my focus today. Like my list today only has 4 things on it. Okay. Well, this is one of them. And when I finish that, now I feel great and I can go shoot hoops with my kid. I can go, work on the more theoretical stuff. But it's been really dominating that, 6 till say 8 is Jeff time. 8 till 9, I'm helping out with the kids like I used to before school. But then 9 o'clock, they're going off to virtual school. I'm going into the office and I'm powering through till about 2 every day. And then I'm calling it a day. And getting back to like really trying to embrace the gift of the time. Cause I know a lot of us feel run off our asses, I guess, in the spring a lot with clients calling us and showings and all our weekends booked. So I'm trying to like spend some time being reactive and driving through and pushing this situation forward and then flipping that switch the other way and going, the universe is giving you a little bit of a gift of time here to enjoy with your family and your wife. So do that too. And I'm trying to do the best I can. I think like all of us are.
Well, I think it's a particular challenge for our breed is that not having an extreme amount of pressure on us. I mean, I think most successful realtors, they live for that kind of pressure. And, you give us an opportunity to procrastinate and not have to get things done. It's difficult to get yourself focused and complete those tasks without there being someone at the other end, looking for that work to be done. Right. So
one thing I'll add, Mike, is, I noticed this a lot with some of the top producers and, like you're used to having a high volume of client requests And so we've learned how to be really good reactionary realtors. We can just juggle all these requests. Just call me. I got it. And when that phone stops ringing, it's like we've lost our direction. If the client's not asking us for help every day, we're sitting here like, what do I do? What do I do? And I think that's a big thing. Everybody's got to like take a little initiative and be like, I got to write myself 10 things. I can't wait for 10 clients to call me, or lawyers or my broker or whoever to call me with a problem today. That can't be the mode when the phone slows down.
Yeah, totally. So back to fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
So let's kind of jump into what we had planned to talk about today. So you lead a big team now at Redline. You're helping them navigate their own personal businesses through this time. So let's talk a little bit about the activities that you're coaching on. Things that they can do day to day to make sure that once this all passes, or at least softens a little bit, that we can hit the ground running and get back on track.
Yeah. I'm a very pragmatic strategist when it comes to our business as realtors, right? And one of the main things we have to think about right now is just what is in your control and what's out of your control. So many people will lose right now by focusing on the things that are out of their control, instead of looking and saying, what can I do? Instead of, where are all the ways I'm handcuffed because of this? How did this thing wreck my perfectly planned spring? Instead of going, what can I do? And where are my advantages right now? So the two main things to focus on are, number one, hopefully you had a funnel before the state of emergency was announced on whatever it was, this 15th or something, right? That funnel, just because COVID showed up, they all Europe. They are just sitting in a holding pattern, much waiting to be told how this thing ends. Nobody's here. So step number one is don't let your funnel die, right? Because those people knew you, they had some rapport with you. Your goal is not to call them and tell them everything's fine, let's get your plan on track. Your goal is to make sure you don't lose them while they're getting their plans back on track, if that makes sense. There's no objection handle. There's no script right now to tell someone it's safe for them. Your job with your funnel, all those people that said they were going to move in the spring, is to keep hugging them until they feel safe again and are ready to list. That chunk of business should make itself up on the back end of this crisis, wherever it is. So that's plan number one. Don't let all that work you put into building your winter funnel or last year's funnel die. Hold on to those people. They are still going to be your people. They're not out open housing, meeting other people, right? Or registering on other people's websites. They're still your people if you keep them. Number two, go ahead.
Jeff, yeah, let me just stop you there for a second. So, I'm reaching out to my database, my people that, we're thinking about transacting. What do you think in terms of messaging to them right now? Like, and maybe I'm jumping the gun on your number two, but, because it is, and everybody has a different level of sensitivity to what's happening right now. So, am I calling these people and, updating them on the market? Or is it more a conversation of, hey, we're here for you if you need help? What do you think is a best practice there in terms of, portraying that sensitivity right now?
Of course. And back to what we said earlier, which is you don't know who's answering the phone. You might know their name, but you don't know if they just freaked out, if their grandma just got diagnosed with COVID in her nursing home, or if they don't care at all and they're walking around having parties with their neighbors still. You don't know who you're calling. That's the challenging thing. Like when you don't know if they just got laid off from their job, you don't know what is going on. So you can't actually have a pre-canned script. And this is the most challenging thing for a lot of us. What am I going to say? Well, I'm going to give you, there's only one line to say, right? There's two actually. One is if there's no reason for your follow-up, right? You weren't scheduled to check in with them. You weren't going to list their house or whatever. It's just ring, ring. Hey, Mike, I just did X and it got me thinking about you. And oh my God, I got thinking about your wife and your baby. And I just wanted to check in and see how you guys are holding in to this. Literally your first question on your list to me today, right? And that is it. Stop. You don't need any magic second line. That is plenty of conversation. What I want to tell you guys right now, I am an introvert, okay? I would never talk to people out in public if they weren't already my client or already knew them in a line or waitress or whatever. I just keep to myself. I've been making a point because I'm out there and I'm fearful and I'm lacking human connection. Every single stranger I meet 6 feet away, I'm just like, oh, how's this affecting you? Bang, instant conversation. It is the ultimate icebreaker. It's today's weather or, taxes or gas price. This is happening to all of us. So stop. You don't have to think about having some magic script to make someone feel better. You don't know the future. All right. Real estate, economy, COVID or otherwise. Our government doesn't know. So all you have to do is say, how you doing? I was thinking of you and I just wanted to check in on your family, right? This is so powerful and it's too simple and everyone's missing it. So that's if you didn't have a reason. If you were planning on helping them, you've already talked about their plans. You've already built a strategy for them to move. Now the question becomes, I don't want to reach out to them because I don't want to feel insensitive and be trying to push them or anything, right? I don't want that to be my persona. This is universal sales 101. Lead with the elephant, guys, right? Hey, Mike, I know COVID's probably completely messed up your move plans. It's messing my business up too. I'm just calling today to check in and see how we're going to get you back on track sometime this year. How you hanging in there? So call out the elephant first, and that acknowledges that I'm not calling to try to tell them it's a good time to move. I'm calling them because I care that their plans are getting messed up by something outside of all of our control. So there's your 2 scripts, right? You can call everybody in your world.
Yeah. I think, I've certainly found personally that the calls over the last few weeks, all of the people in my personal database have been even more receptive than they typically are to getting a phone call from anyone. They're just happy to get some human interaction. So to know that there's somebody out there that is actually thinking of them and wants to have a conversation about it, people seem pretty thrilled about it, honestly. So, yeah. So, sorry, just froze up there a little bit.
Going down the rabbit hole, right? Yeah, I was going to say that's the great segue to the strategy number 2, right? Which was like, so how do we, if we're going to keep our funnel alive by still prospecting, but not trying to close today, we're just trying to stack our funnel open, right? Strategy number 2, which is the one that everybody should be doing, is what we were just talking about, is those sphere-based calls, right? Your sphere, your community, your neighbors, whoever, right? This is the time to double the size of your sphere of influence so you 4x the transactions on the backside of COVID. That's the time, because like I said, if you focus now on the fact that you don't have any leads, you don't have any business, you don't have any paychecks, none of that focus is going to get you any leads or listings or paychecks right now. Anybody who needs help right now is going to the person they already trust. Cold lead gen is going to be really, really hard for the next little while. Think about it, right? Am I even going to go see a doctor that I don't already know? Or like, I'm going to all familiar places right now because the world's scary. And so if we think about this, 2 things are happening, right? Number 1, for those of us that have been in the business a long time and treated people really great, Mike, you should actually have a little bit of an easier time of things in the next. Sure, the market's going to be harder, but your clients should be more apt to contact you than find a random realtor at an open house or on a website or something, right? Because we're not out there doing our shopping behavior. I'm more likely to call someone I trust. And similarly, if anyone in that sphere, their neighbor says, oh my God, I just lost my job, I got to get my house sold or whatever, they're a lot more likely to ask their neighbor who they trust or who helped them before than they are to just pop in or call some sign, right? In this environment. So this is the big opportunity. If we think of what's shifting, a couple things. Sphere business is going up, well, cold lead gen's going down. Virtual meetings are going up, well, physical meetings are going down. And somehow physical visits to properties are going down. And I think all 3 of those things stick around for a lot longer than people realize. It doesn't just flip back like a light switch.
So what kind of specific ways are your team reaching out to their clients right now? So obviously, we can make phone calls, we can text, we can email. Are there any particular mediums that you think that have been very successful during this time?
For sure. I mean, the game right now is 1-to-1 because, like I said, you don't know where you're meeting each person. So trying to craft a one-to-many message is really hard. It's going to fall on the wrong ears to somebody, right? Or it's just not going to connect. So literally that 1-to-1, voice is great, but today's novel medium is sending someone a personal video, right? 50 to 60 seconds of, hey, I was thinking of you. the beauty of this for someone like me is I don't have to have a conversation, wink, wink. I can write a message, hit send, record the next one, hit send, record the next one, hit send, versus having a 20 minutes of small talk, right? Again, I'm not an extrovert. That's not what I want to do with my time. I'll tell you, those videos will be received. Some people will send you videos back. Some people will just write you back, but they got the benefit of the full interaction of you. The mind does not know the difference of watching a human face on a camera or watching it in real life. It's been studied. Number two, today's drop off is the new pop by. Okay. So if you have your community, your sphere, and you can go drop some things on front porches, wave from 6 feet away and run. Again, it's like doing a pop by, but you don't get invited into the house. It doesn't take a half hour, but other than Amazon, nobody's getting anything good at their house right now. So I've had realtors that have ordered 100 bouquets of flowers and dropped them off. Easter treats, just handwritten cards. I'm thinking of you, whatever, right? But you can just get in your car. You got nothing to do all day. Driving around still safe. Drop, text, wave from the window. Everyone's sitting in their living room. They'll see you, right? And then that person's going to do all the marketing for you because they're going to photograph the treat and tag you and do all that stuff. And it doesn't look sleazy like you're doing it.
Yeah. In many ways, it's actually become easier, right? Like those pop buys could be quite a lengthy ordeal, right? You get called into every client's house to have a drink and catch up, and now it's you can have the same impact and do it in a lot less time. So
totally, and it's really welcomed. What I'm finding, right? Just really, really warm fuzzies. Like whenever you take that extra little step right now, because everyone's lonely, man. Everyone's really lonely.
So we talked a little bit about it already, but there was some announcements made by the Ontario government yesterday talking about us being, more or less in lockdown for at least another 30 days. What do you think our market's going to look like once we pass through this?
Well, so you've got, in one of your questions here, I saw you put the words, should we sugarcoat stuff? So that was a question about to clients, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it on this call, right? I really believe that most of our leaders in this industry are taking this thing too lightly and what the impact's going to be, right? Because they want to have a neutral, semi-positive spin that there's light at the end of the tunnel. But the truth is we don't know where the end of the tunnel even is. And if you dig into the research, and I'm a researcher, right? I'm not a headline reader. I had a dozen years in the market research industry, and the last 10 years, all I do is research real estate stuff. It's my side, right? It's what I do. And I'm reading into all the studies, and I think we can all agree that life's not going back to normal until this thing is gone for good, which means vaccine and immunity, right? So between now and then, which in best case scenario, they're pegging out a year to potentially 2 years, if that is even the solution. They don't have the studies to say that that's going to work yet. So we got to be preparing. There's these two phases, right? Right now, I call it the pause that we're in, and we're not sure at least another 4 weeks, right? But probably longer. And then we've got the recovery, and then we've got a new normal market. So we've got these three things, and each of them requires a different strategy. So right now, the pause is all about sphere building, keeping your funnel close, serving the people you can in the safest way possible. The next thing that happens is we get on the other side of optimism. So we're still on the way up. Things are still getting worse. We're still getting more things closed and locked up. But the counts are starting to level off. We're doing a good job, right? So as things start to get on the other side of it, there's more personal protective gear. There's more standards and rules. Society's behaving in a normal way. Some people are going back to work. It's going to come back slowly, one notch at a time, and it's going to take a while. And so if we think about that, the consumers are going to act the same way, right? What happened is ramping up, exciting market, news of the worldwide pandemic hits, all consumer interest over a week to 10 days goes from the peak of the last 2 years to almost nothing, like worse than Christmas Day interest in properties. It's the showing time chart of Ontario-wide interest in booking showings, right? Now what we've seen as it comes out, we're just seeing little plateaus build. Because as time drags on, more and more people step back from the fear and decide to get on dealing with a COVID world or moving on in light of it, right? And I think more and more people slowly do that. I'm going to add one more thing though. Hopefully this isn't getting too technical. on a Zoom call. The thing that most of the real estate people, business coaches and gurus are missing is the economic rebound. They're skipping over the downside of it. Everyone's like, oh, we're going to flip this back on. Everyone's going to be so excited to go spend money and whatever. That's not really how it works, right? When we all get pinched as a society, we all adopt some short-term behaviors of tightening our purse strings. We've all missed a month or two of employment. Some people's paychecks and home life, they're not going to feel that for 90 days from now. That's when the real fallout of the economy starts to happen. And so what I predict is happening, we'll see a little bit of gradual increase. And then later this year, summer, fall, winter, you're just going to see a flat line of about 60% activity. It's not going to be too exciting until the general economy starts to feel like, okay, we're all back to working again. We all feel confident. Our kids are back in school. But that's a ways out, and there still isn't a specific date yet. It's all just predictions. So any realtor that's not figuring out how to continue to trade while COVID is still out there in a safe way is really thinking about putting your business on pause for over a year. And that's not a smart move, right? That's where I'm at today, man.
Yeah. So the reality is that we're not getting back to normal. We're getting back to what will be a new normal, and just adapting to this change. So yeah, that's some great insight. So that kind of, knowing that this is, certainly going to have at least some effect on our businesses for a long period of time, we got to think about how to get our own personal finances and things in order so we can weather this storm. So, what kind of things are you talking to your team about so they can make themselves a little what's the word, just ready to deal with what's coming?
So, I joked, if anyone tried to apply for the Canadian Emergency Response Benefit, that $2,000 a month, to qualify for the first payment of it, you had to go 14 days in the last 30 days without a paycheck. Does that sound like the life of a realtor every month of every year of their whole life, right? So the first thing you have to realize, realtors, boo-hoo, we've been in this forever. Most other people weren't set up to go 2 weeks without a paycheck. You've kind of been doing it our whole lives, right? We get these big checks and these gaps, and we've got to have cash flow management and credit lines. So hopefully you've already been used to some level of inconsistency in your income. That's number one. If you're not at that place yet, there's a couple activities you got to do. And I did these for myself, even though I'd already been doing them, but I did them again just 2 weeks ago. Go back and print out all your bank and credit card statements from January 1st to today. Highlight items, categorize them, find the waste, guys. Find the waste, the stuff you signed up for and you're not using anymore, the little subscriptions. You probably can cut a few $100 at least out of your budget and not feel any difference in your life. But more importantly, I want you to get a big highlighter and circle the non-negotiable payments. For me, that's 2 mortgages, a house and a vacation house. I got cars. I got my kids that I have in private school. I don't want to give that up because of COVID. So I had to make a non-negotiable, what I call my family burn rate, right? This is the amount of money that goes out the door to maintain my lifestyle without having my wife or kids to feel any difference in our life. And knowing that number is so critical in the life of a realtor now and always, right? Because if you take your savings divided by your burn rate, that's your runway, okay? That's how long you can go without doing a deal and still feel okay. Add that with a potential credit line or some safety emergency funds. And now if that runway starts to be 6 or 12 months, you act differently in 30 days than someone whose runway is 2 weeks, okay? Someone whose runway is only 2 weeks acts like a desperate, slimy salesperson right now, and that will not work. It will actually hurt you in the recovery. But if you can get figured out that you're okay if you don't even do a trade for 60 days, you're still okay. Because we can see that the cash flow problem is going to be in the future. It's not right now. You should be okay right now, right? Then you can actually do the moves we're talking about, which is spend the next month building your sphere, spend the next month making videos online, and don't worry if you don't put a listing up, because you will double your business on the backside of this thing. But if you're all eyes down at your toes, you're just going to be making dumb decisions every day.
Okay. I'm just going to put this on pause for a sec, Jeff, and I'll cut this out because I didn't plug my computer in.
We're running out of power.
Another rookie move.
I will say, as soon as you get that plug back in, I wanted to add something as I'm reading your notes there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So part two of the financing thing that I wanted to add was I'm a contrarian, right? As I think of things, I want to make moves that cause me to win no matter what happens, right? You don't only want to bet on one horse. So think about this. If right now you cut a bunch of fat out of your home budget, you knew your burn rate, right? You put a bunch of bills that are coming due in a folder instead of paid them, including your taxes and a bunch of, don't go spend the money, just set it aside. If you built up a little bit of a cash war chest right now, right, by doing a bunch of smart moves, even if you didn't feel pinched financially, but you did these moves anyways. I've done them for my brokerage. I've done them for myself, even though things were looking just fine. Here's the thing. We don't know where this thing is going. So it might be worse than you're predicting, and then you're prepared, or it might be over sooner than we're predicting, and then guess what? You've got a war chest to deploy. And it's going to be the agents and the brokers and the team leaders that when we see the bottom of this thing and we see the optimism, that we deploy our marketing budgets like crazy then, not now, because they're falling on deaf ears right now, but then that will win in the recovery. And in that exact same moment, all the people that aren't doing any strategy or planning, that's when they're getting to their peak of their belt tightening. They just got broke at that day. But if you tighten the belt loop now, and then when we're ready to go, you can drop $2,000 on Facebook ads that same month, you'll explode in the recovery while your competitor's still trying to balance his budget and figure out why his credit card's overdue.
Right. That's some great insight, Jeff. Thanks for that. So thanks for spending some time with us today. I think we covered a lot there. I know you're always putting out all kinds of great content out into the social space. How can our viewers today connect with you on social and follow some of the info that you're putting out there?
Yeah, definitely. If you want to follow my personal channels, on your preferred area, which would be either Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, I treat them all differently. So I post different stuff to all three channels. I'm not one of these like spray and pray posters. So follow me. If you're a YouTuber, check me out over there. I do lots of personal non-real estate stuff, lots of stuff on video editing. Instagram's a lot about my life. And Facebook, I keep pretty real estate. So yeah, Google my name. I'm easy to find, and I will accept your friend request. And I love DMs. Like, I love talking about this business more than anything. So if you had a question from what you heard today, no matter how far in the future you're watching this, just DM me. I'm sitting here all day, and I love getting messages from Mike and others about, let's talk about what's going on. I think any conversation helps us all get in alignment of what needs to be done.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for connecting with us today, Jeff, and stay safe and stay sane. And, hopefully we'll all be the leaders of this once it passes, and we'll all be making lots of money again.
Amazing. I could throw a plug in for a conference.
Yeah.
Virginia down in Oakville has been putting on this Buzz conference, and they had one really successful one. And now, of course, COVID's here. They've had to cancel 2 of their smaller events, but she's really smart. She's pivoted already. So they're doing an online conference starting on the 30th. I'm one of the speakers, but link that up. Again, I'll be talking about different stuff, but anyway, you guys, anyone who's watching, if you can contribute, if you can teach or share or give away some info, that's the game right now, right? Stop talking about real estate. 99% of your audience doesn't care. Share something from your life, your sphere. Get people to rally around you. Be a community builder, and then watch your business explode when this is all behind us.
It's awesome. Thanks, Jeff.
Here's
We'll talk to you soon. Okay, cheers.
All right.